Reverend, thanks so much for your time. I am told your memories of Mam Winnie date back as far as the 1980s, the dark days of the struggle. Can you tell us what kind of a person she was?
I think that the memories of me, of her, is more during the struggle. Watching from a distance, not really from a close personal, but watching from a distance, her bravery and how she was there present in Soweto. Because I grew up and was brought up in Soweto, but watched the bravery, watched how she was fearless in fighting. You know, there were a number of times I would witness as a young boy, students being arrested, students being harassed, and I would see Mama Winnie, you know, at times watching through television or through watching her, see how she came and actually challenged the police. Challenge those who were really harassing students. So for me, that's the ministry of being there as a mother. You know, watching as a young boy, growing up, admiring this woman, her power, you know, her strength, admiring, but more importantly, admiring her love, you know, for the children of South Africa. So those are the memories that I have. In fact, a fighter, I would say, a fighter, fearless fighter. You know, she didn't fear anything. At times I would wonder what actually carried her to do that. But later then I come to know, when I realized she was actually a member of the Manyano in the Methodist Church, I realized in actual fact it was her faith that couldn't keep her quiet. It was nothing else but a belief in God that kept her, gave her the energy, gave her the strength, gave her the power to continue actually fighting. And become as brave as actually she was.
And I suppose that one could say that, you know, from that faith and her strong belief in God, that South Africans surely deserve a better South Africa, that her life was kind of ordained to not be normal. I mean, she's not an ordinary leader. She was certainly destined for a bigger purpose.
Yeah. I wonder whether she knew that from a young age, or she found herself in the middle of this greatness. Because you see, if you go in history, she was just married to a man, just wanting to be an ordinary mother. So for me, it was a calling that she was not aware of, that she discovered, you know, because it takes a calling for somebody to be that brave. It takes a calling for somebody to do what Mama Winnie did. It's not just a normal life, and I agree with you. But indeed, you could see in the middle of it, her power tells that, you know, she was not just a normal person. But it so amazes me how we are called to greatness, even though we are not aware. How we find ourselves in the middle of greatness. But I don't think she saw herself as great. She saw herself as a servant. And that, for me, I'm hoping is what we must never lose as leaders in all spheres of society, that we are called to serve the people. And in actual fact, we are not called for greatness. We are called to be servants. And it is in serving that we are elevated to be greater people, not for greatness, but for service.
But for service.
For service.
And it's so interesting because, I mean, if we do study the lives of people who were called for greater purposes in religion, you'll find that during that time they fulfilled their service to the cause. But there came a time where the people that they essentially fulfilled the service to became the very same people that forsake them. And many can say the same about Mam Winnie, because after the struggle, the very people that she fought with are the very people that some say, you know, kept her out in the cold.
When people see themselves being called for greatness, that's what they will behave. But I don't think Mama Winnie from the beginning went into the struggle to benefit anything. She went in there to make sure there's a better life for an African child, in whatever form that means. And I think for me, even if Mama Winnie, you know, was sidelined or has never been able to benefit in other ways, she benefited, because what you're not aware is that the behavior and the struggle and the power of Mama Winnie created more young lions to actually continue to serve. She might have not benefited, But in actual fact, she multiplied in terms of many people who actually came to actually serve. And indeed, it's said that at some point she was sidelined. That is life, you know, because all of us just want success. We don't want to serve. But she never stopped serving anyway.
I mean, some would say that one of the greatest, in inverted commas, lions that she did create was, of course, Julius Malema. In fact, I was watching archives of her at her 80th birthday last year, this morning. And she was talking about how, you know, back then in Parliament, every time there were murmurs of the fact that the ANC had sold out, or that there were murmurs that, you know, the ANC wasn't delivering on its task to the people, everybody in Parliament would look at her, even though she wasn't necessarily the one who was saying these murmurs. And she even said, they used to look at me like they look at Julius today. Wonderful thing. But Rev, you know, you are holding a special memorial service yourself tomorrow. It's special because it's for women only tomorrow. Tell us more about that.
Maybe not for women only. Let's say it's led by women.
Right, okay, all right.
Because everybody is actually welcome. We had one on Sunday, which was a general one. But tomorrow it's special because the Anglican women are coming together at the Cathedral of St. Mary's to celebrate the life of Mama Winnie. They normally hold their annual service, which is called the Lady Day. But with the passing of Mama Winnie, we thought it would be nice to honor her with that service. But the Lady Day is all about celebrating the call of Mary, who responded when God called her to be the means through which salvation comes. And is that not Mama Winnie?
That is.
You know, if you look at that link, is that not Mama Winnie, who herself has responded to the call by God, a call she never understood, but trusted where God was taking her. So tomorrow is about women celebrating. It's open to everyone, but coming to give thanks for who Mama Winnie was in the lives of all South Africans. And that's a special one in that case, that it will be women actually celebrating, women reflecting on the life of Mama Winnie, and women sharing the journey of who Mama Winnie was. But for me, there is one thing that stands out for me with Mama Winnie, which you must never forget, is what I call her ministry of presence. Because during the difficult times, when the leaders were not here, when the leaders were in prison, some had to go, it was Mama Winnie and Archbishop Desmond Tutu who kept the fires going on the ground. And that, for me, is what actually touches me in any way. She didn't go, she didn't run away, she was there. Whether she was harassed, whether they did all the bad things to her, but she said, I will stand with my people, I will journey with my people, their pain will be my people. Sure. So I think as ordinary South Africans, we need to come out today and celebrate at the St. Mary's Cathedral. Sure. And one thing significant about St. Mary's Cathedral, you might not know, it is where Desmond Tutu challenged apartheid.
Right.
It was in that pulpit when Desmond Tutu was still the Anglican Dean of Johannesburg. You know, before he became the Bishop of Johannesburg. He used that same pulpit to say apartheid was evil. How appropriate to go back to the same pulpit and say, Lord, we celebrate the achievements of these great servants of yours.
No, for sure. But I suppose, Rev, I mean, just to be balanced here, in as much as Mama Winnie, you know, she answered the call to serve a purpose greater than her own. She was human. She was a normal person who made mistakes at the end of the day.
You see, if you think you are perfect, you don't belong to this world. All of us are imperfect. All of us are infallible. All of us makes mistakes. Priests, bishops, ordinary people, politicians. It's only that we need to take responsibility for the mistakes we make. But I think Mama Winnie, we cannot allow that whatever mistake she made would be used to overshadow the greater things that she has actually achieved for this particular country. But I want to say also, you know, in life, you must choose when somebody dies, make a choice to remember only the good. Because remembering the bad when somebody has died is not helpful for you.
It's not, but unfortunately, because of the divisions here in South Africa, that's how she was remembered in some corners. I mean, on social media, some took to social media to remind South Africans that, you know, the murderer has essentially died, the fraudster has essentially died. I mean, why do you think it was so easy for maybe I should say the world, or South Africans rather, to be specific, to concentrate on the mistakes that she made, because that's how she was mostly remembered when she was alive. We remember her for the tie-up with Stompie Sepe. We remembered her for the alleged fraud, but we kind of forgot everything else that she did in terms of contributing to the struggle.
That's a human weakness, generally, in life, that we always sadly choose to always elevate the bad in people than the good in people. And that's a general human weakness. And I think in this case, it was quite unfortunate that actually happened. But I'm still saying we can never let the good that she's done be overshadowed by the bad that she's done. As I said before, you make a choice. You choose what you want to remember. But I always choose to remember the good because the bad is not helpful for my own health and for my own sanity to keep remembering the bad. So I choose to remember the good of her and the contribution that she actually made and how she kept the fires burning in the midst of a difficult time in this world. But remember, she also had to make choices. If you go through her experiences and see what she went through, what she actually experienced, you could understand at times that many a times she was under very difficult situations and she had to make particular decisions and particular choices. But people go to criticize, but they don't go first to look at history. How the apartheid regime over and over again tried to break her, but couldn't achieve.
They made her stronger.
They tried to break her. That is why they even tried to break her even in the New South Africa.